we've been learning so many good things at church on Sunday, but we don't know what to do with it on Monday, on Tuesday, and the other. There's something wrong, but I ended up declining that U.S. job offer with a peaceful heart and a sense of calling. That was a missionary calling to stay in Brazil.
Paulo Humaita, welcome. Thank you for accepting this invitation.
Thank you, Paulo.
Startups, ecosystem development, open innovation. You are part of Bluefields, which is an accelerator in Brazil. We read about you. You have accelerated more than 200 startups in Brazil. Yes. Currently among the top 5 accelerators in Brazil. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's a big accomplishment. Bluefields dreams to change their country through the generation of purpose-driven entrepreneurs that generate high-quality jobs and show integrity, love, and justice in the marketplace. This is an amazing goal. How do you do it?
Well, we do it with a sense of calling and with a sense that entrepreneurship is one of the main solutions for the main issues we are facing now worldwide, and especially in Brazil. I started my career, my freshman year at college, working for an incubator. I used to help many startup founders, tech startup founders, writing down business plans, helping them to build their businesses. One of them invited to join the company, and I spent a couple of almost 10 years working for tech startups, and then I moved to large corporations, but always working with innovation, with projects related to biofuels, biomass conversion, and so on.
Hot topics.
Hot topics, yeah, sure. And Brazil has a lot of it, agricultural country and so on. And my story is basically I wrote down a career plan. There were many pages of it. I used to update them in a quarterly basis. And my main goal in life was to move overseas and work in the States. So I was working for this multinational company, a Danish company, global leader on biotech. And they offered me, after 4 years there, they offered me the US job. That was the biggest dream of my life.
The golden handcuffs.
The goal, yes, the major goal. And it's supposed to be easy decision, but suddenly it became the hardest decision ever taken in life. And it was a result of a calling from the Lord, like Paulo now separated to be a missionary. And I said, okay, should I stay in business? Should I not stay in business? But I ended up declining that U.S. job offer with a peaceful heart and a sense of calling. That was a missionary calling to stay in Brazil, not to go elsewhere. So that's why I stayed there. A couple of months later, I met my neighbor, who is now my wife. So God does things for a reason, right?
Amazing.
We have a one-year baby boy called Daniel.
Blessings.
Yeah, he's growing health, thank God. And I started helping other entrepreneurs from my church. I was talking with my pastor about my story. I think God is calling me to do something different. He said, "Are you going to be a missionary where?" I said, "No, here in Brazil. I think it's something to stay here." "Oh, that's a different calling. It's such a thing." And the next question was, "Are you going to help social projects in the Brazilian favelas, slums, or something?"
That's the natural thing for a
natural
missionary
thinking
to
about,
do.
Yeah, sure. And I said, no, I'm going to help startup founders. This is how I do. This is what I do. It's my missionary field is the offices, the business meetings, and so I said, oh, that's different, But there's a room in the basement here in the church. Why not starting from there? And then I have just quit my job, a company that I used to love, their values, their purpose, but I just felt I had something more to do, I invited investors, business people from my own church in São Paulo, Brazil. And there were 25 of them there. And my challenge was, we've been learning so many good things at church on Sunday, but we don't know what to do with it on Monday, on Tuesday, and the other there's something wrong. I have no idea how to fix this. So my slides deck or the word the word how in different languages. I don't know how. Who you can help me? And so it's when the first investor, the first co-founders, the first mentors joined the movement. So we started Bluefields back there in 2017. Yeah, with the goal of doing something for our country, integrating the principles of Jesus that we learned in the church, but in a very practical way, and helping the next generation of businesses. We are in tech. So if you look at the NASDAQ and other markets, you see that there are companies listed there that haven't existed 10 years ago. So if you got influence the future of our nation through tech corporations that will be dominant in the cultural shaping of it, it made a lot of sense to us. So that's our a little bit of our why. Bluefields exists to accelerate innovations for eternity. There is a board member of ours that say if Bluefields would just build startup unicorns, worth more than $1 billion without before 10 years time, it will be too little for the impact that God has called us. So it's a little bit about the reasons behind it.
That's an amazing story. And what I see there is God's calling. I see human plans, the Danish company. I see God's calling. I see the peace that comes with God's calling.
Exactly.
And I see people around you that put you on the right track.
Exactly.
And I think the goal is amazing. Yeah. Tell me more about how Brazil is as a society from the religious point of view and from the entrepreneurial point of view. And then how can these two subjects merge, the faith-based approach of life and the entrepreneurial life?
It's a great question for you. Well, Brazil is a country in South America. It's the biggest country there. The only Portuguese speaking though. All the rest speak Spanish. And we are 200 million people in Brazil. The major Catholic country in the world. But the evangelical church has been growing a lot. We are now 70 million evangelicals. And there is a projection to 2030 that the size of the evangelical church will kind of double. So we're talking numbers. About 120 million people, and evangelical will be more than half of the country. And it's growing fast. It's growing fast, but it's not growing the same pace. The theology of work and understanding how to serve the Lord at weekdays.
Okay.
So generally evangelicals in Brazil will think that their ministry is if I play guitar at the church or if I teach in Sunday school, which are blessing and we should do that. But they can't relate their faith into the marketplace and how they do that. But there is a huge movement in Brazil right now that we are one of the pioneers as well to mobilize people to teach theology of work and make them relate their faith and work and I understand now I can serve the Lord and they take 1 or 3 years to digest that. And then from wow to how they started to ask questions. Okay, how I do that then? One of the things we do we do the Bluefields Summit. Okay. So the Bluefields Summit we target at a Christian audience that are already mobilized. So they came to their understanding that they should integrate faith and work, but they don't know how. So we have a kingdom business framework, and we provide practical ways of them doing it. It's not limited to evangelism. It goes much beyond that. Like
as a practical side.
A practical side of it. Why God call you and what it has to do with our business. What kind of culture are promoting throughout your business? Are you taking care of people? Or it's like a regular destroytive kind of culture, How you're managing your finances, your resources, what's your impact thesis, how impacting society. So all the kingdom business elements in a practical way. And Brazilians are very open. They're open-minded people, but especially in terms of religion. So it go both ways. So you can approach someone on the streets saying, "I'm from this tribe. Let's run a ritual here, blah blah blah," and yeah, let's do it. But we take advantage of that from our side. Even in the marketplace, we have partnered with one of the big techs in the world. They have an office in Brazil, and they've been hosting our alumni community events. So all the founders, we went through our programs. 80 of them are active, very active in our alumni community, and they hosted twice our alumni events there. And there were some of their directors in the last event. It was last year, and after the end of the event, they invite us for a talk and said, and I thought I did something wrong, right? But then they share with us, we've been hosting so many other accelerators, so many other tech startup events, but you guys said something different. We were talking among directors here. We felt a strong peace that we never felt before. And these are kind of people that will never go to church, that the pastor will never reach out to them, and they were just there hearing about what we do, and why. And they were impressed. They told us we should do some formal cooperation. Let's come back here, run your events here. We need more of what you have. It also,
Amazing.
it also happened recently. We have one of the largest banks in the world in Brazil. It's our customer now, because beyond startup programs, we also are in the open innovation field. So we replicate the startup way of doing business into for employees in large corporations. And first meeting, I just shared my story as a Bluefields founder. I can't detach the story that I briefly shared here. It's my personal testimony as well, how Jesus mobilized me to his cause, to his mission through business, And after I shared my story, the director started crying in the middle of the meeting, and they told to our team, it's the first meeting. We don't know still if we have some business synergies, but we are going to hire Bluefields. We need that here in our
Amazing.
bank, And so 5 months later, they closed a deal with us, and now we are helping them with some amazing projects. And I thought, okay, these guys, like high ranked directors, VP, C levels, they see the same presentations over and over again. And once somebody goes there with a simple story, like just if you see the Bible, like the people that are healed by Jesus, they just kept sharing their stories. I think that the most simple thing we can do, and they got touched by that. And now we are in the process of discipleship and sharing more and more. I think it's a good way of being practical in the marketplace. Just share why we do what we do.
Amazing. That was one of my questions. How do you integrate faith in what you do? But you just shared, just by simply being who you are, giving your testimony, and maybe through your values. I don't know what Bluefield's values are, but maybe can you share some other specific ways in which Bluefields tries to pass on this faith component to the accelerating businesses?
Yeah, this is a great question because one of the things we've been thinking a lot. So I just shared a simple example how a testimony we can do that, but we are very technical about the integration between faith and the startup programs we offer for startup founders. And in our opinion, it should be very contextualized. So, for instance, we got Sparks. Sparks is the Bluefields program where ideas come in and startups come out. Okay. So the people with one idea in 3 months, they have their business ready to go to market. Yeah, it's a pre-acceleration kind of validation kind of program for them to be angel investment ready. And throughout the process, we run prototypes. And we learn a lot, and we run MVPs, the minimal viable products. And the way every session, every acceleration phase is facilitated is with faith-based concepts. Just to give you an example.
Please.
Yeah. When we are facing the MVP building, we start sharing about the widow from 2 King. and that was
Great story.
that lost her husband and reached out to the sacerdote, né? And he said, okay, go and build a business, right? And there was her part, there was a dependency from the Lord, Lord's part, and she built a product with the elements, the resources that she got
that
at
she
the
had,
place.
but knew she had.
Didn't know she had. Even with there's a FFF concept within the environment, like family, friends, and we call it fools. We like a folks. We prefer that word, like family, friends, and folks. And she got all the
Elements
resources,
involved.
the elements involved there. And so we used that story in a contextualized way, and then we shared about how that story was important and key for the coming of Jesus and how it's important today. And then, okay, let's build your MVP now. And then people got the idea of, okay, what I got at my place, what I got, what resources I got, how I can be faster developing and going to market with what I got, So they're connected. There's so many things in the Bible.
I never thought about this example in the context of a startup. Never thought about it.
Exactly. And so we use these things combined with a well thought way of integration. Regarding our values, we have 5, and one of my favorite is excellence that opens doors. So we should solve our customer problem. And the customer problem is we baptize that name. My name is loneliness, because entrepreneur in Brazil, he's very lonely. So he goes for the online courses and mentors, but kind of running in rounds, and we gotta help him. And so we gotta solve his problem of moving from an idea to a validated business way faster in only 3 months. They would take 18, 24 months if they do it by himself, And so I think we gotta be one of the best ones, the best as possible as we can. And Bluefields is a multi-awarded accelerator now in Brazil. We have been selected as one of the top accelerators for the main prizes and competitions in Brazil, and despite the fact we are the only faith-driven accelerator in South America. The way we market it, we don't position ourselves as a Christian accelerator. Though if you go to our website, you see our values there, the descriptions, you can, sure, they have something to do with it. And so, especially because we gotta be transparent. But I think there's a fine tune of figuring out how to communicate it in a way that it's not just value based because of our context, because everybody wants to do good for others. If we just go that line, it's one more of it, But we can be also churchy, that people wouldn't involve with us. We can in the middle of it. For our context in Brazil, will be a good balance of communication. So yeah.
Can you share with us maybe a success story? We are all fond of nice, good stories. The success stories from the accelerator program, but also a failure, let's call it, because we all have failures. The failure rate is bigger than the success rate. Yeah. But not the story in themselves, but what have you learned from it?
Yes.
From the success story, but also from a failure story.
Yeah. Well, the success story is from our first cohort. His name is Danilo, an amazing guy, become one of my best friends now. He lived the countryside of Brazil. At that time, we didn't have the remote program. It was in person, 2017 and 2018. And he moved with his wife and newborn to São Paulo to
attend the accelerator.
Yeah, for the accelerator. We had 5 months together at that time. And he developed with other tech guys a automated software that does the payment split that goes inside the credit card machines. But he developed that for churches, especially for his church. And well, in the beginning of the cohort, he was one of the selected ones. And Danilo, we have a challenge to you. The product was almost ready, so try to sell it to as many as churches you can. And we gave him, we are very connected with churches. We gave him a list of 300 churches. And weeks have passed, and he came back. I just sold one. One? That's weird. Why just one? Oh, that's because my the dad of my wife is a pastor there, and oh, that's no validation at all. Why could you find for the remaining ones? Oh, that's too hard to get to the pastor. The counseling, it's selling things to churches is pretty hard.
Tough.
Yeah, tough.
It's a corporate structure.
Yeah, true. It's even harder sometimes. But well, is there any other market that will need that? Is there any way to pivot your solution to the same solution but for different markets? And suddenly, I mean, after a couple of months, he figured out the barbershops, because to run barbershops is a huge amount of work, and the owner doesn't have available time to manage finance. So if a customer pass the car there, pay the service, and the amount goes directly to the barber, directly to the suppliers, and he doesn't have to pay any, it saves a lot of time. And he scaled to, I mean, there's so many barbershops in São Paulo, and he's sold for too many of them, and it called the attention of Stone. Stone is a startup unicorn in Brazil. It's a huge company now, a fintech, and Stone acquired Danilo's solution. Nowadays, Danilo is a global partnership director of that organization after selling his venture to them. And it's very interesting because he has access to the shareholders of the company that are not believers, but they have doubts, deep doubts about the Bible, and who is they getting answers from him. So it's a very nice story that we helped as an accelerator, not only in the technical business development side, but as encouragement and understanding of his mission even after selling his organization. Yeah, and the unsuccessful story, they're painful, and we don't like to share them. But there is a couple. They started. They actually dedicated their lives as PhDs in the labs, studying metagenomics, and they wanted to develop one of their discoveries into a tech business in the ag business, in the agriculture, and they actually had a solution that could transform the way how they do soil analysis with way more precision. Using genomics and data science. So in order for the farmer to distribute the fertilizers in a customized way, so it would save a lot of money, time, and also increase productivity. Yeah. So we helped them. A huge potential. They
doesn't sound like a failure.
no, but it was in the end because they weren't able to raise capital, and though we tried hard, we couldn't help them. There was something, some requirements from the investments for them not being too much time in the business side of it, and it was somehow too innovative for Brazilian investors, especially because the interest rate in Brazil was top or second highest in the world.
Really?
So
even today?
Even today, it's about 15%. 12%.
Oh my God, that has to be hard.
So investors could just leave the bank, the money in the bank in a fixed income fund and get 20% annual. Know how to why to take risks
You
beyond.
have to open accounts in Brazil.
Exactly. Yeah. And then in a tech university in Belgium, inviting them to incubate their idea there. So they left Brazil. They are living in Belgium. Serving the university and trying to go to market with their solution to European farmers, but it's a failure because it's supposed to be a successful story, and then what we learn with that is that sometimes it happens and the market is not ready, the investors are not getting the idea, with a lot of times accelerators are kind of biased. Because we spend a lot of time with the founders and seeing how they are proving their ideas, they're proving their points, and certainly that will be the winning startup. The investors will pick them, and suddenly the investors had another idea and pick somebody else. That's weird. Yeah. But it's because it's that why we are not investors. Yeah. So yeah, so much that we've learned so far. And, yeah.
What I think in a context of a faith-based, let's call it that, of a faith-based accelerator, I think even the so-called failures are not failures because of your values, because of the values that you transfer to the people that join the accelerator. I think those values, those eternal values, are never lost. Actually,
Yes.
although their unicorn might not take off,
Exactly.
maybe never, maybe sometimes years later in Belgium, but I think God's values will not be wasted.
Yeah,
So
I agree. And
it's a good place to be in such an accelerator.
it's a great place because sometimes it is a business failure, but it's not an impact failure. I can give you another example
Please.
of one guy that has sold everything he owned because he really believed in his business, and his wife didn't like it, so it kind of entered in a very bad situation for their marriage, and he got depressed, and this is the point that he started in our program.
So in the lowest point ever.
In the last point ever, it happens often. After trying by themselves, they reach out to someone that can support them. But he was in the like very bad situation. He called me once, Paulo, I'm thinking about taking my life. I thought, okay, that's beyond yeah. And I started talking with him in a more personal, one-on-one basis. I led him to church. I found out he never read the Bible. Like, why? How?
You're Brazilian.
Like 90% of us are Christians. How did that happen in my country? I never read. My parents weren't Christians and blah blah blah. And okay, and once at the service, he started to crying so hard, and by the end of the service, he told me, God spoke to me. I understand now the faith, and he came to Christ. He read the Bible for the first time in our programs at Bluefields. His marriage was renewed. His business failed. If you ask about to other accelerators, okay, that's
a
write
failure.
off, But to us, that was not a failure at all.
You left the best story for the end.
Yeah. So this is why we do it. And business fail, it's life. So we can't be triumphalistic, if I can say that, about business, and sometimes the failure stories are where God does even more than the successful ones.
Amazing. How would you what would you say is the biggest challenge spiritually and from the entrepreneurial point of view of Brazil in 2024 and looking into the future?
Yeah. There is a theological issue, deep rooted from heritage in our country, that somehow what is taught in churches, they don't hit the point about theology of work. So people don't relate their faith with their daily professions. So when we ask people around, even evangelical church, what's your main ministries? Oh, I play guitar at church. Oh, I teach at Sunday school. Those things are very good.
Good things, yeah.
Yeah, those things are very good. Oh, I give my tithes. Okay, but there's no trade-off. It's something. Okay, I will give 10% of money to the church. But if I'm not giving 100%, investing 100% of my life to God's great commission, it doesn't matter how much I'm giving to the church, So it's so hard for most people to get it, and it takes time. Like and now in Brazil, there are many amazing organizations, faith and work organizations that are mobilizing people across the country. So many people are in the stage of wow. We say so. Wow, I can integrate faith and work. Wow, I can serve the Lord while I work. That's new. It's not new, but it's a rescue of a biblical concept that wasn't there before. So it sounds like new to them. and then they take like 1 or 3 years to digest it, and they go from wow to how. Okay, so but how I do it? No,
I want to do it.
Yeah, I want to do it. So how I do it in a practical way. So I think then our job is also work with these mobilized people that the other organizations are educating.
So you have hot leads.
Yeah, we have hot leads come in. We have the Bluefields, the Bluefield Summit, which is specifically for these people we are going after. So we share, for instance, the kingdom basis framework and how you do this in a practical way, how you treat your employees in a biblical way, how you do business in God's way. And then hopefully this change the country, and hopefully we understand all the political turmoil from last years, that it's not politics that are going to change the country. We're not dependent on them.
Not top down.
Not top down. It's like JFK. We should do something for our country. Not someone else. So I think Brazilians are getting literated on that. And then hopefully, probably not in my generation, but future generations, we can see a thriving evangelical community in Brazil that are sending missionaries, are being set up examples in the marketplace, not only Brazil, but from Brazil around the world as well.
Is it your first time in Romania?
It is my first time in Romania.
Can you share your experience at Forge and with the people you met? What can you share with us about your first experience?
I'm leaving Romania with amazing first impressions. Amazing. First, one of them is I've been meeting so many skilled business people, and it's amazing to see them at Forge. And the great business leaders that are in Romania, that are convening Christian business leaders together, and I see potentially early days of a huge movement that God will do in Romania from the marketplace, and I think it's so exciting. And I think we are quite behind in Brazil, but I think there are many similarities, Secondly, it's more a cultural thing. I'm in love with the language. Romania is so charming.
So it's Brazilian, the Portuguese.
Romania. I was listening to some people. Don't continue speaking in Romania.
Sounds good.
We can pick some of the words because of the same Latin origin. I have Italian ancestry as well, so I know how similar that those languages are. I can pick some other like scusi, scusa, something like that. Scusi. And I loved Cluj, and the kind of weather I experienced those days, like sunny and cold, is my favorite one. And I love the environment, and I think the size of the city is not a huge city, but it helps a lot. In São Paulo, where I come from, it's a huge city, 20 million people in the great area. And people think twice, or people don't go in events, because they're not ready to face traffic. You should get people aligned like 3 months in advance so they can psychologically prepare for the traffic. So people don't meet often. It's hard to collaborate. And an environment in a city like Cluj, this is it's one of the things that make things better. Easier.
Paulo, thank you. It was an amazing story that you shared with us. May God bless you in everything that you do, and hopefully we'll meet again.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me here.